In the lore of the Slavs, there were beings whose spirits transcended the physical realm, wielding sorcerous powers to combat wicked spirits that wrought havoc upon the fertile lands. With an affinity for the elements and a kinship with the storm-raging dragons, these shamans stood as the protectors of their people, their role in the cosmic struggle paramount. Their mastery of the elements allowed them to summon thunderstorms and bolts of lightning, quell the turbulent winds, and harness the raw might of dragons to vanquish their foes. In a realm of fable and myth, where the natural world was as treacherous as it was enigmatic, the weather shamans stood as a beacon of hope, a force to be reckoned with, whose power resonated in every gust of wind and every flash of lightning. In this video, I explore the fascinating legacy of the Slavic weather shamans, or storm shamans, and the veiled bond they shared with the storm god. This is the third video in which we explore the traces of shamanic practices in the Slavic traditions, and I suggest you check out the previous two videos in order to gain a deeper understanding of the subject. But before we continue, I would like to once more mention that I have recently published an article on the unitedhomesteads.com, where if you go through the link in the description and if you use the provided code, you will have a 10% discount. The United Homesteads is a wonderful place where you can learn various skills and ways of maintaining your homestead, as well as connect with other like-minded people in your area. The topics you will find are very rich and various, ranging from folklore, for which I write most of the time, all the way to bushcraft and blacksmithing, and all of which are presented in a very unique way and will aid you in your goal to becoming more self-sustainable. So if you're interested in learning something new, feel free to subscribe using the link and the code in the description below. Now let's continue with the storm shamans. Although such shamanic individuals existed in other parts of Europe, they were particularly common among the South Slavs in the Slavic world, while in other Slavic regions their influence endured as a superstition about mythical creatures. The earliest record of these individuals dates back to the 10th century, where historical accounts primarily document the prohibition of their practices, leaving much of their identity shrouded in mystery. The majority of our knowledge about them is derived from ethnographic sources of a later period. These individuals were seen as a blessing to their homes and villages, as they were believed to be guardians of the prosperity and well-being of their region. They were also viewed as good, honest, just, and honorable people who were highly respected in their communities. They were not identified by a single name, but rather by a variety of regional names, which are significant as they provide insight into their origins. These names include Zduhach, Vetrovnjak, Hmarnik, Gradivik, Zmajevit, Zmej, Vilovit, Oblačar, Kresnik, Viščun, Štrigun, Vedomec, and many others. Folk etymology suggests that Zduhach comes from the word duh, meaning spirit. Vetrovnjak or Veternjak comes from vetar, meaning wind. Zmajevit, Zmaj or Zmej, meaning dragon, implies dragon-like abilities. Vilovit is derived from Vila, a Slavic nymph or fairy spirit, implying similar abilities. Oblačar is derived from Oblak, meaning cloud, and so on. While there are variations in their names and beliefs across different regions and periods of time, these individuals share the same abilities, functions, and attributes. In this video, I will often use these terms interchangeably, so please do not be confused. Although sometimes addressed as women, these individuals were typically men who possessed the ability to safeguard their property, village, or region against harmful weather phenomena such as storms, hail, or heavy rainfall. It was believed that these men's spirits could depart from their bodies while they slept to confront and combat demonic entities that were thought to be responsible for adverse weather conditions. After defeating the demons and dispelling the storm clouds which they brought, the protectors would return to their bodies and wake up feeling exhausted. The traditional Slavic culture holds that the human being is composed of both body and spirit. According to this belief, when a Zduhach would drift off into slumber, his spirit would take flight out of his physical form, soaring into the winds. This intangible essence held sway over the movement of the winds and the patterns of the clouds. However, if the person's sleeping body was repositioned in a manner that inverted the positions of the head and feet, or if the individual was transported from where they had fallen asleep, the soul would be unable to re-enter the physical vessel and death would be inevitable. Following the battle with the spirits who brought the bad weather, the spirit of the Vetrovnyak would return to his body, leaving him weak and drained upon waking up. If he was injured during the battle, his wounds would be physically visible. He would become either ill for a period of time thereafter, either until he recovered or until he passed away if the wounds were fatal. The source of their mystical abilities was believed to be inherent, integrated into their very being. Across many regions, it was believed that these individuals were born with distinctive physical features, such as a caul, wings, membranes beneath their armpits, a tail, or unique teeth. Upon birth, the mother would dry the caul and stitch it onto a piece of clothing, such as a pouch that was then worn by the child, typically attached under the armpit. In some regions, the supernatural power of the Zduhach could be passed down to their son, further cementing the connection between bloodline and otherworldly abilities. These individuals were known for their scapulimantic divination skills, which is the reading of the patterns and markings on animal bones for prophecy and insight, and for their gift of communicating with domestic animals, therefore forging a special bond with the creatures of the land. The Vetrovnyak was also believed to possess the ability to manipulate the bad clouds over the property of someone he was in conflict with, as Zduhach was believed to have the power to command storms and hail clouds, which they could direct to the territory of another Zduhach in order to ruin the crops of his community. When the targeted Zduhach became aware of the impending disaster, they would take flight and confront the bringer of the bad weather. This would often result in a fierce battle between the two Zduhachi as they fought to defend their respective territories. After a triumphant battle against the rival Zduhachi, the victors would confiscate all of the agricultural produce from the defeated territory and transport it to their own region as spoils of war. So this is a sort of transcendental spiritual war that took place in the clouds. That's a bit difficult to wrap your head around in these times. Nevertheless, according to traditional beliefs, Zduhachi occasionally fought in groups made up of individuals from the same area, and each group had a leader who was often a renowned seer. For example, it was believed that the Zduhachi from eastern Bosnia united to battle those from Herzegovina and Montenegro, while those from Sanjak collaborated against Albanian Zduhachi. Battles between a group of Zduhachi from Herzegovina, Serbia, Montenegro, and northern Albania, and a band of Zduhachi from Apulia in southeast Italy occurred on the Adriatic coast, so they had battles even though they were separated by the sea. The group of Zduhachi would enter a state of sleep and assemble at a designated location before engaging in battle. Their arsenal consisted of an array of weapons ranging from small items like spindles, beech buds, and leaves to larger objects such as huge boulders or even entire oak trees that they could uproot with ease. However, the most potent weapon at their disposal was a stick which was called luch, which was basically resinous wood that could be charred on both ends. Basically, if the Zdukhac was hit with this weapon, he would surely die. These spiritual storm shamans or weather practitioners battled against the destructive weather patterns summoned by neighboring shamans or even by more mythical entities. In certain regions, the leader of the storm and hail clouds that the Vetrovnyak fought against was thought to be a colossal black bird. In other regions, it was thought that these clouds were brought by the spirits of the hanged and the drowned people. However, typically these individuals fought against the same foe who brought forth the storm and hail clouds, which was referred to by various names such as Allah, Ashdaya, or Lamia, and was imagined as a monstrous serpent-like creature. For example, when a dark cloud appeared over the fields of his village, the Oblachar would rush directly beneath it and begin running back and forth, waving his arms or holding a raised stick in its direction until he was exhausted and soaked. This was his way of battling against the Ashdaya, which was believed to fly in low, dark clouds and spew hail from its wide mouth. If the cloud moved away without discharging hail, it was believed that the Oblachar had defeated the Ashdaya and its followers. As a reward for his efforts, the Oblachar would receive wheat from his fellow villagers every year. The Zmei, like the Vetrovnyak, Oblachar and Zdukhac, would confront the Allah or neighboring Zmei when bad weather approached. To do this, he would fall into a deep sleep or a death-like trance and send his spirit in the form of a winged snake or a lizard to battle the demon. During the battle, the man's body lay motionless and vulnerable, but swinging a blade above him or placing it at his head would prevent him from harm from the Allah. In order to preserve the supernatural power of a newborn dragon, that is to say a newborn Zdukhac, a newborn storm shaman, certain rituals were carried out. In Veles, today's North Macedonia, 12 girls would gather cotton, spin yarn from it, weave a cloth and make a shirt, and dress the dragon boy in it, while in Leskovac in Serbia, 3 old women were tasked with spinning yarn, knitting a shirt, and dressing the child in it, all within a day and night without uttering a word. These practices were believed to give the dragon boy the ability to defeat an Allah. It is crucial to consider a very important aspect of South Slavic folklore when we talk about it. The Slavic dragon, the common Slavic dragon, which we know as Zmei or Zmai, was originally a subterranean being and an adversary to the storm god Perun, who consumed everything in its path. In the South Slavic folklore, this creature was often referred to by foreign names like Allah, Lamia, which is derived from Greek, and Ashdaya, which is derived from Persian via the Ottomans. Consequently, the term Zmei or Zmai, which initially represented this creature, started being used to denote its opponents and even the storm god himself. This resulted in the Lamia, Allah and Ashdaya being associated with subterranean and aquatic traits, while the Zmei or Zmai was linked with celestial and fiery characteristics. Nevertheless, the term Zmei or Zmai is sometimes used for both the malevolent and benevolent beings, portraying two dragons clashing during a storm. Such is the example from the Macedonian folktale called Yanina Plocha, meaning Yana's tombstone. This tale is basically told for a stone which stands in the field and is regarded as the tombstone of a mythical maiden who was called Yana. So basically, in this tale, we see two opposing dragons fighting each other. One of them lives on a mountain peak which is called Perun, and obviously he embodies the ancient storm god, while the other, with a cattle head, dwells in the depths of a cave's waters. As a result, in certain South Slavic regions like eastern and southern Serbia, western Bulgaria and Macedonia, the Vetrovnjak was known as Zmaj or Zmej, meaning dragon, who fought against the Lamia, Ala and Aždaja, which were the sources of hailstorms. Saint Ilya, or in English pronounced Saint Elijah, the Christian successor of Perun, also fought against Ala, Lamia and Aždaja, which is normal since he originally fought against the dragon that these names replaced. When he saw an Allah destroying crops, he would summon dragons or dragon men, basically the Zduhach, the storm shaman, to help him attack the demon. The dragon men would then fall asleep, and their souls would assist the saint against the Allah in the thundering clouds, shooting fiery arrows which appeared as lightning strikes. That this understanding was not a result of Christianity becomes even more apparent when we look at the Slovenian name for the Vetrovnjak, which is Kresnik, a name derived from the mythical being Kresnik, which is a local Slovenian name for Perun. Therefore, through folklore, we can once again observe the continuity of an ancient pagan practice where the weather shamans originally aided the storm god Perun in his battle against the dragon, an epic battle which is found in various other Indo-European cultures, as you already know. In some areas there was a belief that dragon boys were born with small wings and were the children of dragons who were capable of fighting against the Allah, and during thunderstorms the dragon could take their sons away with them. In other regions, it was believed that dragon boys were born with tails and later grew wings, which they used to fly into the sky to shoot witches with thunderbolts. The dragon, believed to be the father of these dragon boys or storm shamans, was originally the storm god Perun, who was later replaced by a saint with similar characteristics as the dragon. The South Slavic dragon, believed to be the father of the dragon boys or the storm shamans, was originally the storm god Perun, who was later replaced by a saint with similar characteristics as the South Slavic dragon. This mythological creature was envisioned as a fiery being with wings and serpent-like shape, who could also transform into an eagle or a human. Each dragon had its own territory and was benevolent towards humans, ensuring that the right amount of rain fell in the appropriate time of crop growth, and so forth. However, dragons had sworn enemies in the form of the Lamia, Ala and Aždaja, who led storms and hail clouds over the fields to destroy crops, consume fertility and steal cattle. Whenever the dragon saw an Allah approaching, it would fly into the clouds to fight the demon and drive it away with fiery arrows and stones that created thunder and lightning, exactly the same way like Saint Elijah does and Perun as well. In the ancient Slavic mythology, tales of men born from the union of women and dragons were not uncommon. These men were endowed with incredible strength and abilities, able to turn into dragons and fly during times of crisis, particularly in battles. Serbian epic poetry tells us of two such heroes, that is, Sekula Banović and Zmaj Ognjeni Vuk, whose name literally means Vuk the fiery dragon, or Wolf the fiery dragon, who were medieval nobles and warriors with mythical attributes attached to their stories. The transformation of heroes into dragon was described in various ways, such as donning a dragon shirt, revealing hidden wings, or letting their spirit take the form of a winged snake. In some instances, the transformation was not explicitly stated, but rather implied by descriptions of the hero's fight. Additionally, the Russian epic hero Volk Vseslavievich was said to be the son of a dragon and could transform into various animals, including a falcon, aurochs, and a wolf, among other things, as described in the folk poems. The legacy of the Slavic storm shamans lives on as a testament to the power of human connection to nature and the elements. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of the past, we discover a world of myths and legends that continue to inspire and intrigue us today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for more such content. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. And don't forget to check out my books on mythology and folklore for a deeper dive into the world of ancient legends. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.